Okay. We'll just have to shift back and forth between us. I have a guest star today. Hey guys, I'm Tony, and this is my daughter Emmy.
Hello.
And today is September 8th, and September is Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. And every day this month, I am walking 3/4 of a mile. 3/4 of a mile is the distance from the Ronald McDonald House in New York City on 73rd Street over to Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center on York. And Emmy and I lost Emmy's brother Sam January 23rd, 2020. Coming up on 8 months ago. And we're doing this walk every day, or I'm doing this walk every day with some guest stars, some co-stars, rock and roll, to raise awareness about pediatric cancer. We're also trying to raise some funds for Alex's Lemonade Stand. It's a great organization. There's a link in the description to this video. You guys have been more than generous thus far. If you haven't seen any of the other videos or seen the page, my wife set a goal for us to try to raise $1,000 the month of September for Alex's Lemonade Stand. That's a goal we blew through in the first 3 hours of September 1st. Last I checked, we were at 6,500. I think if you add up the cumulative views of the videos that we've done, we're over 10,000 views. Lots of amazing support from you guys. So many wonderful messages, both from people who have been in this fight with us for 4 years, and some of you who are in your own fights, and some of you who have just been moved to reach out and talk to us. I promised Emmy that I wouldn't put her on the spot too much on this walk. But we thought maybe we would just walk and have a conversation about Sam. And I don't know whether you can kind of share what this has been like from a sibling's point of view, right? Like, I think one of the easy ones, right? One of the easy things is when I think about siblings of cancer kids, I think about how much attention Sam got, and how we did our best to try to balance that and not let you feel left out. But I've got to imagine that sometimes you did. Yeah, how did that feel?
I don't know, it just felt kind of empty. Empty?
Like empty, like alone empty, or empty like, what do you mean?
Like empty, like alone, kind of.
Yeah. And I think we talked yesterday when I did my walk, I talked about guilt. And I talked a lot about how, even though I know better, I feel guilty about a lot of stuff, about sometimes the medical decisions we made. What if we'd have tried something else?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And one of those things I feel guilty about is that for a big chunk of your life, we had a lot of our time, the majority of our time, focused on your brother, because it kind of felt like it had to be, so I'm sorry for that you had to go through that. You were a really big help ever since, gosh, how old were you when Sam was 3? When he was first diagnosed?
5, 6, 7.
7 years old. So at 7 years old.
Kindergarten?
Yeah, you were a kindergartner when your 3-year-old brother was diagnosed with neuroblastoma. And do you remember when we first talked to you about it?
Kind of.
What do you remember from the beginning?
Well, I remember at the beginning, I think we called the hospital because he just had this bump on the side of his neck, and it hadn't gone away for a while. And then I kind of remember a tiny part of explaining it. I was kind of like, not as focused as I could have been, kind of just looking around. But I kind of remember you explaining it to me in this way that felt very weird.
Weird like how?
Like uncomfortable weird.
Uncomfortable, yeah, that makes sense. I got news for you. We got a lot more of those uncomfortable conversations to have. Oh boy, wait till I meet your first boyfriend, your first real boyfriend.
Yeah.
I'll sit the two of you down together on the couch.
That might not happen
I'll
for a
sit
while.
I'll sit right in between the two of you and we'll have a talk. Do you remember when I think it was it Miss Kristen? Who was it?
I remember Miss Kristen.
Who was it who with the hospital? Was it Child Life that first sat down and explained some more stuff in the hospital?
I think so, because I remember getting a book and one of those frogs.
The frog that had
a
the
stuffed frog.
yeah they
With
the
support.
you know one of the supports that I think is kind of amazing for these kids is this entire department within the hospital called Child Life Specialists, and that's what their focus is, right? Is making things as palatable for the kids as they possibly can, but they also work with the siblings, and they've come up with a lot of ways to explain to the kids what's going on. And one of those is I saw a couple different versions of dolls that had this one was a frog that had a Metaport, right?
Yeah.
That explained like what it was and where the medicine went in and things like that. I think we still have that frog somewhere, don't we?
I think I stole Sam.
I think we got 2 of them, didn't we?
Because actually we got 4.
4 of them?
Because on his second round they gave us more.
They gave us, yeah. Every time we went somewhere new, they didn't know what we knew or didn't know. So they just kind of went through it all again, didn't they?
Yep.
How do you feel when you think about New York and the time we got to spend together in New York?
It makes me pretty happy because that was really fun.
It was, wasn't it?
And one of the first things that I get from thinking about New York is either the big buildings or going to the Spice restaurant.
I think I talked about Spice the other day because you loved it so much.
I did.
It was really good. It's on the list to go back to for sure, isn't it?
It is.
No, it was nice because, you know, for the most part when we were in New York City, we were there for a lot of follow-ups, but I think most of the time when you were there with us, Sam was feeling pretty good. And he was able to go, and we were able to go, and we were able to do stuff.
I think we actually went to a candy store one time.
I think we went to multiple candy stores. You went with Papa and Nona to, was it Dylan's?
Yeah.
And then I know Sam and I were at Sugar Factory, and it's a really nice restaurant, and they have candy stuff in the front. Wait, did we go to another one together? I don't remember. I know. It's all kind of fuzzy, right?
Yeah.
What was it like? What was it like at school before you went to Travis, right? Because you've talked to me about Travis
Yeah.
and how that was. But what was it like at school to be Sam's brother? Sister, I'm sorry.
A lot of people knew me from knowing him. So a lot of times I was recognized as Sam's brother.
Sister?
Sister. I don't
No, I did it. I did that to you. So people recognized you as Sam's sister, not as Emmy.
Yeah. Most of them.
That's got to be frustrating a little bit.
A little bit.
How did that make you feel? I mean, frustrated, but anything else?
I mean, like, a little bit frustrated, a little bit annoyed, but I mean, like, still a little bit proud. Because that makes me also know that a lot of people knew Sam.
Yeah. I told Mom this the other day. Getting everybody in the selfie stick is hard. My arm's starting to hurt from having to hold it way out there. Zoom out. Zoom in. Well, no, I hope that you're always proud to have been Sam's sister. Not just because you were the sister of someone who fought so hard, but also because of the role that you played in that and how amazing that you were throughout his entire fight. I know I've told you this, but I hope you remember, and I hope I say it enough, that I'm very proud of you and the young lady that you've become through this whole thing. Don't get too choked up and trip and fall.
Yeah.
Um,
A lot of wires in this alley.
what when you think about Sam's fight, do you feel like you learned anything from watching your brother? Did he teach you anything?
Yeah. He taught me a lot of stuff, but it's kind of hard to name it because the stuff that he taught me has become pretty natural, so it's kind of hard to tell from the stuff that I already had.
Oh, so it's like it's so deep inside that it's just you can't tell whether it came from him or not.
Yeah.
Can you think you can give me an example of something about you that's awesome that might have come from Sam?
Yes.
What is it?
One of the things that I didn't have, that I did learn from Sam, was to never give up on like anything, no matter if it's fighting inside your body or fighting physically. And that's why I am feared in some parts.
Which parts?
Like
Feared in some
neighbor
parts.
parts.
Oh, okay. Because you never give up, huh? Come on. I like that.
I get covered in children every day.
What's that mean? Oh, you're talking about all the neighborhood kids?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's watch out here and let somebody come down the alley. You should apply that to your homework. Never give up.
That was not in one of the questions. They didn't have any questions about siblings.
No
It
question.
was all about like, what's your favorite music? And what did you learn from this book?
Oh, that was today? Well, today was the first day. You'll get deeper. I think one of the things that I took away was to really pay attention to the important things in life and watch out for the cactus. Each day that we have is important because we don't know how many we're gonna have, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That reminds me of a song, actually.
What song?
I think one of the verses was, "We're not promised tomorrow."
That's one of the lines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's true. Did what you, well, this is kind of, yeah. I was gonna ask you if what you think is important changed over the years, but I mean, I think that would have happened naturally anyway. You went from a 7-year-old to an 11-year-old, right?
Yeah.
So what's important to a 7-year-old is not going to be the same as what's important to an 11-year-old anyway.
It's not.
What do you think was important to your brother?
I think a few things that were important to him was family and friends,
Yeah.
and I don't know, most of the things that I've been told about him is from like all of his friends. Like Miss Watkins told me about how she would whisper like things to Sam in when he had his ear
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
But mostly it was about to tell Sam and Henry to be quiet.
Nice, nice.
Yeah,
Was that Miss Watkins or Miss Morgan's or both?
both.
I remember.
Actually.
This is actually one of my favorite Sam stories. So, Sam had a hearing aid in his right ear and qualified for services in school. And so when he was in kindergarten, that was Miss Morgan's class. He had an FM system. So she had a little microphone pendant that she wore, and it connected directly to his hearing aid. And she told us, sometimes he'd have it on while they were out on the playground, and she'd have hers on, and she'd see him maybe getting ready to act up, and she'd go, "Sam, I see you," and he would turn around and try to figure out where she was and where it was coming from. Oh, it makes me. I've talked to them before about what a rule follower he was. And
Sometimes.
so, I know, right? It makes me pause. Grasshopper.
Dead one.
It makes me pause every time I think about him just acting up, because he did sometimes. He
did that a lot.
He loved to prank, right?
I never got to go to the really good pranks that I could have played, like one that I'm going to do with the Peeper on Halloween.
Well, don't give it away, because you might give it away. A lot of people watch these.
Yeah, well, I probably won't, because tiny children, some of them
You're
don't
worried
watch
you're
them.
gonna scar them for life.
Yeah. No one wants somebody looking into their window.
Are there any pranks that Sam or you and Sam did that you remember that were really good ones?
I remember me pranking him, and I remember him pranking me, but we never got to the point where we actually worked together to prank someone. Because usually when we did it, it was like before we met other children who were easy to prank.
Yeah, the two of you didn't prank us very much together. That was good. What were some of your pranks you pulled on Sam?
I hid a snake under his pillow once. Not a real one, but I made it so that you could feel a bump under the pillow.
Yeah.
And so that when he lifted it up, you just saw a snake.
I remember a prank that the two of you did on us. That dang plastic cockroach. They had this little plastic cockroach that they would
I
put
loved
places.
that.
And the very best one was they put it inside the lampshade. So all you saw when I came down the stairs and I saw inside the lampshade the silhouette of this giant cockroach. And then I hear Sam, because he would do that when he was pranking. He had a different laugh from everything else. It was this quiet, like a wheezing laugh that he only used when he was pranking. And so you knew when you were being punked by Sam, because he was over there going, oh, hated that thing.
I really
Scotch
need
tape.
to find it.
Yeah, I might know where it is. Saving it, use it on your mother.
I'm gonna really freak her out.
Can you remember any pranks that Sam did on you?
Yes. He put I don't know what it was, but he put something cold in my bed. So when I laid down, I just felt this really cold thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is that? And I went down, and apparently he was in my room, because the next thing I know is he's climbing onto my bed and kind of just poking me a little bit. And first time he did it, I was like, what is going on here? And I was like, wait a minute. Wait. Oh, that's what it is.
I think, I don't think we will ever know. In fact, we will never know whether he did this on purpose or not. But my favorite prank that Sam ever pulled on you, I think he was 3. And you guys were in the bathroom. It was at the Casa Loma house. And you asked him to hand you the toothpaste. And he gave you a tube of his numbing cream.
I remember that. He was like, here's toothpaste. I was like,
Emmy comes barreling up into our room sobbing because Sam had given her port numbing cream and she had used it to brush her teeth and she couldn't feel the bottom half of her face.
I
Oh.
vividly remember that.
Oh,
actually telling someone about that the other day.
that's a good one. What was it? We're coming up towards. I think we got what, a block to go. But or no, we're on the home stretch, aren't we?
Yep.
Okay. What was it like for you when Sam was on steroids?
At first, I didn't really know it.
Interrupted by a phone call. Let's go back. You're saying at first you didn't know what steroids were.
Yeah. And sometimes I still don't know what steroids are.
Okay. Even without knowing what steroids are, though,
I-
could you tell when Sam was on them?
Kind of.
What would happen?
He was kind of crazy.
Kind
but
of.
sometimes
Kind of crazy.
he was also like really sleepy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of mixed between both, and you can't really get in the middle.
I remember in December of last year, he got sick and was in the hospital for a couple days while I was out of town. And they put him on that really heavy steroid dose. And then he got to come home, but they kept him on the steroids. It was a big dose. And I had to sit the neighbor kids down and be like, hey guys, listen. If Sam comes at you with that look in his eyes, just run. Come here. Especially if he's holding any kind of weapon. Come and get
Yeah.
us. We'll protect you. It's not him. It's the medication.
I remember him
And they were
actually
like,
doing that once.
Steroids, huh? Yeah.
I remember him running at me with a weapon, and I kind of, at first I was like, oh my gosh, I should run. And then I saw a stick next to me, so I grabbed it, and I sort of like pointed it at him. And I was like, if you come any closer, I will.
How'd that go?
It worked.
Oh, good. Good. Well, hey, Amy, thank you for walking with me today. Do you want to tell everybody one more time why we're doing this?
To raise money for
Tell them.
cancer awareness.
Tell them.
To raise money for cancer awareness.
That's right. That's right. We are. Why is that important to you? Why should we raise that money and raise awareness?
So that people who have cancer can get better from it and never have it ever again.
I dig that. I like that. Thanks, guys. Remember, there's a link for Alex's lemonade stand in the description, and we'll see you tomorrow.